Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And I'm here today to talk about the benefits of cloves and how you can use them. And again, I got the grandbaby, the youngest one here today, right here at the base of the tripod that's holding my camera and my light. And hopefully this will go well. I did have to shift it a little bit because he tried to grab it and he was moving it around. So I think I've got it out of his reach now. So anyway, I thought now would be a good time to talk about the benefits of cloves because this is the time of year a lot of people like these kind of spices. And if you're interested in more videos on herb profiles, spices, and so on, I'll link to the full playlist down below because I've also already covered cinnamon and ginger, a couple more spices that we like to use quite a bit this time of year. And I'm hoping to get one done on nutmeg before this month is over. So let's get to this. Now, just so you know, I try to gather my information from many different sources. I typically start with health websites, and then I'll move on to medical websites, and then onto scientific-based sites. So the first one I'm going to read to you actually comes from a PubMed article from the National Institute of Health.gov. So I'm reading a direct quote that is specifically about cloves. One of the most valuable spices that has been used for centuries as a food preservative and for medical purposes. And they also went on to say that is one of the richest sources for the phenolic compounds eugenol, eugenol acetate, and gallic acid. And it's those particular compounds that give cloves their medicinal value, or the main ones anyway. And then let's talk about the nutrients that you'll find in cloves, and that is fiber, manganese, calcium, vitamin K, high in antioxidants, vitamin E, vitamin B6, and folate. So with those, especially when you're looking at antioxidants, anything that's high in antioxidants is going to be very helpful at preventing cancer and even can work to help cure cancer and is also very anti-aging. So that's anything high in antioxidants. Cloves are naturally antibacterial, antiviral, and antifungal, which means when taken internally, it can help prevent colds and flus. It will help build your immune system and is also helpful at fighting candida overgrowth. But if used topically, such as in the form of clove oil, you can apply that to fungal infections such as ringworm and toenail fungus. It helps to improve liver health, regulates blood sugar, which means this is a very good option to help with diabetes. It promotes bone health. It reduces peptic ulcers and generally helps with digestive health. Is very beneficial to oral health, so that's something you can add to your tooth powder or toothpaste recipe, which I have. I'll link to my most recent video down below. I prefer the tooth powder, but sometimes I do make a paste using coconut oil. So it helps to regulate hunger. So you'll find that a lot with anything that's got a very strong flavor like cloves and cinnamon and ginger, that when you're getting a lot of flavor into your food, it helps you feel more satisfied, but it's also good on its own, not just for the flavor, but at helping to prevent obesity and to help with weight loss. So the oil in particular can be used topically if you have any kind of tooth pain, and can also be used for muscle pain. It's one of the top oils I do add to my muscle rub, my muscle and joint rub recipe that I'll link to in the description box down below if you're interested. So it's really good at helping with muscle pain. Not only does it help to warm the area, but clove oil naturally has a numbing effect. That's why it's good for tooth pain as well as joint and muscle pain. It's a natural cough suppressant and insect repellent. In fact, I like using clove mixed with orange oil as a perfume basically, and I'll just apply that like anyone would perfume. And because of that, it's also good at helping to repel mosquitoes and anything else. And it's also good for skin health. So let's talk a little bit about ways that you can use it, or at least the ways that I typically use cloves, besides using cloves in recipes like making pumpkin pies and so on and so forth. I use cloves quite a bit in making teas, especially in the winter. So in that case, I usually will use whole cloves, and I'm always making a whole pot of tea at a time. And so I usually put in about 5 or 6 whole cloves when I'm making a pot of tea. And this is something that you would actually simmer for a while because it's a hard woody substance. So unlike your more delicate herbs, you don't want to boil those. But when it comes to things like cloves and cinnamon sticks, those are good to simmer. So if I'm going to add herbs to that, typically I'll simmer the harder things for a little bit first, and then maybe throw in some herbs like echinacea or whatever if I'm wanting to really help boost my immune system with the teas. And then when it comes to the ground cloves, I use these in, I have a mixed spice blend, and this is something I'll add to sometimes if I just want a quick tea or I just want to add more flavor to a tea. Maybe a tea I'd made the day before, I want to top it off with water, and then I can just throw in a pinch of my mixed spice blend, which I have a recipe video on that I'll link to down below. This is also something, especially this time of year, I like to add a pinch of to a cup of coffee, just black coffee. Put a pinch of this, I'm getting the flavor, I'm getting the benefits. It does have other spices in it, including nutmeg and cinnamon. And that mixed spice blend is also part of what makes up my jet fueled latte blend, which I also have a recipe video on. This can be a good coffee replacement on its own and is very, very healthy. So all those spices to help boost the immune system, fight colds and flus, but also you've got ashwagandha, maca root, which can be very good for people who are trying to lose weight or dealing with menopausal symptoms, or even trying to give their thyroid gland a boost because maybe they're just trying to bring that healing back and get off the medication, or, just give a boost to a more sluggish thyroid gland. And I also use the whole cloves when I'm making my elderberry spice syrup that is specifically for helping to recover from colds and flus or preventing colds and flus. So that's something that if we feel like maybe a little itch in our throat or anything possibly coming on, we'll take a little shot glass of that. And typically that's all we need. In fact, Patrick, he was gone on a hunting trip with his dad, and he came back, and the day before he got home, he started coming down with a cold. So that very next morning, I gave him a shot glass of the elderberry spice syrup, and he's feeling so much better, like right away. In fact, he started feeling better. And I gave him that, and then I also gave him a shot of the pain remedy, the pain and inflammation, because he was getting a little bit of a headache, and that just knocked it right out. So there's many other ways that you can use cloves and add them in, but for me, typically whenever I'm talking spices and things, especially things I like the flavor of, I use them a lot in teas. And so the teas and the syrups are the main ways, and then what I mentioned here. Now, when it comes to risks of cloves, it's pretty safe for the most part. It's the clove oil that you have to be most careful with. So especially when giving it to children, if it's something you're taking internally, which whenever you're talking about essential oils, yes, there are some you can take internally, but you do have to be careful with. And especially when you're administering to children, and when you're applying, even when you're applying it topically, it can be a hot oil. Now I can put it on topically without diluting it at all in a carrier oil, and it doesn't bother me. But people with more sensitive skin or children, it should be diluted in a carrier oil. And if you're new to that term, all that means is you're using some other kind of healthy oil, but be it olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil. The amount's all going to depend on the oil itself and how hot it is, but maybe you'll have a tablespoon of your carrier oil and put a drop or two of the clove oil in that, and then apply that topically. So just always take care whenever you're using essential oils. Again, it's all going to be very dependent on the person. So that when it comes to cloves, that's where you got to be the most careful, is when using the oils. Because typically cloves aren't something you're going to OD on anyway, because they are such a powerful flavor. You don't need much. A little goes a long way. So anyway, don't forget to check out the video links I'll be putting in the description box down below if you'd like to learn more about other spices and other herbs and their benefits. And the other playlist I'm going to put in there is The one I've been putting together, it's a newer playlist where I compiled lists of herbs, spices, and more that are good for various ailments or things you're trying to help with, whether it be diabetes, high cholesterol. And so I'll put that down there as well if you're curious and would like to just look through there. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this video. And if anyone's got any ideas they'd like to share, what's your favorite way to use cloves? And is it something you use medicinally? Do you make a tincture out of it? What do you do with it? And how has it helped you? Please share with us down below so we can learn from you as well. And thanks for watching. Take care and God bless. And they also went on to say that it is one of the richest sources, vitamin E, vitamin B6, and folate. And also, you silly baby. But when it comes to like cinnamon sticks and cloves, yeah, I know. I'll use the whole cloves when I'm making my elderberry